This video is going to show how to use a Google form to create either a survey or a quiz, whatever you need in your classroom or in your office. So the first thing you need to do is be in your Google Drive. You're going to click on Create, and then you're going to click on Form. As this is loading, the first thing that you're going to have is an opportunity to choose a theme for your form. You can title it here, and I'm going to title this Introductory Quiz. And there's not a whole lot of themes, so you can always leave it blank. I'm going to go ahead and choose this espresso background. As long as you want the option to change themes every time, leave Show New Forms clicked and click OK. Right away, now we're ready to start adding our questions. A couple of little hints though. The first question that you're usually going to want to place in here is the respondent's name. When you get these responses back, if you don't ask for their name, they're not going to be giving you their name. So I always ask for the first name first. There's lots of question types to choose from, and we want to make this a text question, and we want to require this question. So you're going to check mark that box. So first name, it's a text question, and we want to require this. We're just going to click Done. Now we're going to add another item. We're going to add more text for their last name. And again, it's already going to default to text because that's what I chose. I want to require this question, and I'm going to click Done. If this were a quiz and you have 3 class periods taking it, or if this were a survey and you were sending it out to a bunch of different schools, you might want another question here that's a clarifying question. So I'm going to put what period are you in? Or you could ask what school are you at? Now you could choose here. I'm going to go ahead and do choose from a list. And so I only teach this class, let's say period 1, period 3, and period 7. Now I'm just tabbing from cell to cell, but I do have to press tab because of the little X's, so if I had accidentally typed in here period 9, and oops, I don't want that one, I can just click the X on it. So this also is a required question. I want them to select exactly which period. By typing it in myself, I don't have to worry about exactly how they type it, so when I go to sort, it'll be easier to sort. One last item that I may want to include is a requirement for them to give me their email. There are certain scripts out there that require you to have emails so that you can send results to the respondents, and so we're going to go ahead and ask for their email address. Now this is just going to be a text box, but we also have the opportunity to do what's called data validation. So when we click on data validation, we click the checkbox, and now we want to make this text, and we want to make it an email address. You can put a custom error text here, so you can say format not valid, or instead of that, I could put an example and say I want them to give me their SWCS email address. I could show an example of what that's supposed to look like. So far we've got just some qualifying information, their first, last, what period they're in, and their email. So if we want to see what this form looks like right now, this is what our form looks like so far. Now we're going to go on and we're going to add 5 questions. So the first question that we're going to add is going to be a multiple choice question. When it comes to multiple choice questions or any kind of question, one little hint that I have for you is rather than asking the question in the title, just put the number of the question in the title and put the actual question. What is your favorite sports team? Put that in the help text. What this will do is when we look at your responses in that spreadsheet, you're not going to have huge titles. The title will just be question number 1. So that's up to you. It's just an option that you could do. So we're going to give four answers. We're going to say Ohio State, Michigan, let's do Xavier, and Dayton. This is a quiz question. We want them to answer it, so we're going to say required. You don't have to do that, but every time you do a required question, then they won't be able to go on without doing that question. Next, we're going to do what is your favorite type of music. So obviously there's really not any right or wrong answers on these. So I'm going to say, let's say country, rock, Okay, so I pressed enter, and so it went away, and I want more choices. So in order to go back in and edit a question, I'm just going to click on the pencil, and I can go back and I can continue to add my choices. Rock, rap, classical. Now I can always, if this isn't a quiz and it's more of a survey, I can add the option for other, and then they can click on other and they can type their own answer in. So I'm done with this question. The next question that I'm going to select is a checkbox question. So maybe I want to know, what are your top 2 favorite colors? Oops, I forgot. I want this to be my help text, and I want this to be question number 3. So I'm just going to list some colors here. I'm going to go with red, blue, purple, green, orange, yellow. That's good. I'm going to require this question as well and hit done. Again, I made that error up in question number 2 as well. So I'm just going to cut and paste and change this to number 2, and then I'm going to make it a required question. So you make an error, not a big deal. You can go on. All right, we're going to add 2 more questions. Question number 4 is going to be one of these advanced questions. So for the advanced questions, the first one we want to look at is the scale. The scale is basically a scale of 1 to 5, 1 to 10, whatever you want it to be. We're going to say, how much do you like this winter? Hopefully everybody's going to say not at all. But, of course, I did it again. I'm just getting used to this little tip myself, so I'm going to move my question down to my text. I'm going to leave my scale at 1 to 5. I could do 1 all the way up to 10, but I'm going to leave it at 1 to 5 for this one. So for my number 1 is going to be awful, and my 5 is going to be awesome. So I can choose to make this anything that I want. I'm going to click done. And my last question is going to be a grid question. So in a grid, I'm going to say, how much do you like each season? This is kind of a way to do the scales, and you want to kind of use the same scale for 5, 10, 15, whatever the case may be, different questions. You could use the grid like this. I'm going to say, how much do you like each season? My rows are going to be the seasons. So I'm going to have winter, spring, summer, and fall. You do not have to have the same amount of columns as you do rows. So I'm just going to have 3 options for each season. I'm going to say not at all, or some, or it's my favorite. Require, and now I'm going to be done. So these are going to be my 5 questions. There are a couple of other choices. If you want a response to be words, but you're going to have more than just a short word, you want to make it paragraph text. And also you can choose date or time. If you're asking a question about what day something happened, rather than leaving it as a text where students could write the day in any way, shape, or form, if you make your question a date question, you can include the time as well. Maybe you want to ask exactly when they were born. Then they're choosing their month, day, and time. I'm not going to keep this question right now, but just so that you know it is an option. So a couple of other things I want to look at. Right here, there's a confirmation page. The default is your response has been recorded. You may want to change that default to something like your quiz has been accepted. It all depends on what you're sending out. If you want students or anybody to be able to take the survey or the quiz a second time, you would leave this first one checked. I don't want them to take a quiz twice. You can publish and show a link to the results of this form to all respondents. So if you're doing something, say, like a chili cook-off, and you want people to sign up, well, they may want to see what everybody else has signed up for. So you would want to publish a link to the responses so they could see all the responses. One that I do like is to allow responders to edit responses after submitting, especially for surveys, because maybe I put something in and the next day I want to change it. I want to be able to go back and change mine and not have to email you as the creator of the form and say, hey, can you change this for me? If I scroll back up to the top, Under form settings, requiring Southwestern City Schools login to view this form. Right now, we can only share these with Southwestern City School logins, so this is kind of by default. If you want to automatically collect respondent Southwestern City Schools usernames, that's fine. Unfortunately, for students, this is collecting their student ID, and for teachers, it's collecting their initials and birthday. So that's another reason that you ask for first and last names. So you can collect this, but you definitely do not have to. If you're going to make this into more than one page, maybe you're going to make it into 4 or 5 pages, you can show the progress bar at the bottom of the form page, and that way they know how many pages they have left. So right now, we've got our introductory quiz, we've got our theme, we've got our 5 questions, and this, because we're in Drive, is constantly being saved. So we can look at our live form one last time, and this is what their form's going to look like. When they're done, they can check if they want a copy of their answers, but then they're going to hit submit. Going back to the quiz itself, now that we're ready, we're going to go ahead and send our form. So when you're choosing to send your form, you have a couple of options. You can just take this link, and I could click the link and copy it, and I could go into my email and I could just send the link out. I could share the link via social media, so if you are in charge of your school's Facebook page and you wanted to do a survey for your Facebook page, you could share it that way. If you want to send it to people in your contacts, you just start typing their name. As you're typing names in our new system, you're going to get lots of options. It doesn't matter if you send it to the initials and birthday or if you send it to their actual name. So if I want to include the actual form so they don't have to click out of the email, I'm going to leave that checked. If I want to send a copy of it to myself so I can see what it looks like, I can check this box. You can always customize the message. The subject is automatically the name of the form. You can change that if you want. And you can always add a custom message here. So maybe I would say, this quiz will only be available until Friday, March 14th at 3 o'clock p.m. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to click send. So that's the basic tutorial on creating a Google form.